Okay.
Are y'all ready?
Yes, let's
Ready.
do this.
Yep,
Let's
ready.
Let's have some fun.
Okay.
Just get loose. Everything. All right, here we go.
Welcome, everyone. This is 7R PodCast with your host, K1SPL. And we also have our main man here, King Wade Fu. How's it going,
Yes,
King?
sir. I'm
Wade?
doing good. We're back in the dungeon.
Yeah, we are. We're here. We're back for another episode. And this time we have some special guests today, some local artistry, some local talents, and all-around entertainers here. We have Dancing with Ghosts with... So, sorry, I screwed up there.
So what we're going to do today, we're going to interview Dancing with Ghosts. They've been making a lot of noise in Jacksonville, Florida. Great alternative rock
Yeah,
band.
electronic alternative
You
rock.
want
Yeah.
electronic, add that electronic in.
It's important.
Okay.
I'm a keyboardist. It's important.
Okay, so what we're going to start with asking you guys a little bit about your background and where you come from. How did you get into music? Why did you choose that genre? Because there's so many genres out there, and we just want to know a little bit more about you.
I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Well, the genre that we got into is just kind of a result of me being a kind of by myself when it came to creating music all my life. I started using a program called Fruity Loops. Now it's known as FL Studio. I started using that. I got like a pirated version off of LimeWire back in like, I don't know if you can keep that in or not, but
Dude, LimeWire.
yeah.
It's old school.
Oh yeah, I mean my computer crashed like 17 times after I got it, but it was totally worth it.
It's only some viruses. It's, just some of them.
I'm
What does
very
that even
familiar
mean?
with that.
Yeah, but I got Fruity Loops and I started making my own beats and stuff, and at the same time I was learning guitar and bass and piano and learning how to sing and all that, and it just seemed like I was always the most dedicated person musically that I knew, and any band I would ever try to get into, they would always flake out. And so I started kind of coalescing all these genres that I liked together into kind of this own unique thing, because I liked, rock, I liked alternative rock, but then one of my first CDs was Moby, so it's like, I loved electronic music, I loved all kinds of music, I liked Seal is the man, like, I loved his second album, actually. So it's like, I had a lot of, I just love too many types of music to just be like, yeah, we're a heavy metal band and that's it. I don't know, we're just all over the place. I know I answered one of your questions. I don't remember any of the other ones.
I was going to say, as far as like my background goes, I was always in rock bands and stuff, but I was always the front man. So singing was my thing. I was always singer first. And actually, when I joined this project, because this was originally his solo thing, and I just was like a super fan of it. So I was just right place, right time sort of thing. But I also knew that we'd be sharing vocal responsibilities, and I'm not content to just sit there for half of the song and not do anything. I was like, you know what? I'm crazy enough. I'm going to learn how to play keyboard. So 3 months after I joined the band, we had our first show, and I had to play and sing. And, you have to really kind of be a certain type of crazy to want to put yourself in that situation. But I was like, I just think I can do it. So I'm self-taught, and that's kind of how I got into this end of it. But yeah, I was always like front man first, so he's more musician first, singer second, and I'm vice versa, but it works really well because then we complement, we can layer and add to that. So
Okay, so Steph, where were you actually? So you were born where?
I was born in Jacksonville, and then I moved to St. Augustine when I was 12, and as an adult kind of moved back and forth. So they're both
Kind
home.
of back and forth?
Yeah, they're both home.
Okay, yeah, because Jacksonville does have like a lot of tradition when it comes to music.
Yes.
And I just love to see up and coming artists that's gonna come up and shine and that are really serious. And like he said, was sometimes you get in groups, which I was part of that same situation. You get in groups and sometimes people aren't serious, and you have to weed out the people that aren't serious and the people that are really about this music. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So keeping that inner circle tight and coming together is a very big thing if you want longevity. So as for the Jacksonville scenes, what do you guys think about the Jacksonville scene? Because this is like a retirement place, and we have such a hard time breaking through in music and stuff. So talk a little bit about that.
I think what Josh said once is like the truest for us specifically. It's like we are a sore thumb for people who like sore thumbs. So in the Jax community, I find there's a lot of rock and a lot of metal, and that tends to be well received, you know. And then you got your more obscure like blues and jazz and all those flavors. There's a little bit of all of the flavors in Jacksonville, but there's not quite as many, I think, doing kind of the stuff that we are doing.
I believe,
so that's I think why we stand out.
I agree.
I guess my hot take as far as music scenes in general, and I don't think it's specific to a Jacksonville problem. I think that music scenes everywhere, as far as live music goes, and music communities in general are just a lot more diminished than they were maybe 10 or 15 years ago, when people had less entertainment options vying for their attention constantly, like Netflix and smartphones and all that. And I just remember being 14 or 15 years old and going out to see my friend's band at Murray Hill Theater, and there'd be a line wrapped around the building to see a local band. That you just don't see that anymore. I can't think of. I mean, maybe Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, but I can't think of the last local, Jacksonville band that really not only was making noise, but had, marketable or viable success that you could actually measure in any kind of way. Yeah. And I don't think it's because the music in Jacksonville specifically is bad. I just think that it's a symptom of a greater problem in the world we live in now.
Yeah.
I think if you go to any city, I think that the music scene will not, and it's easy for me. I've lived in Jackson my whole life. I'm sure there's people listening going oh, you haven't grown up in Nashville. Actually, the music scene there is amazing. You ignorant Southerner or whatever. I don't know. I'm sure there's some pockets of cool stuff. I hear Texas has a lot of Austin and Dallas has some cool scenes and stuff. But I don't know, man. It's so hard to grab people's attention in general.
Yeah. I think part of that might have to do with social media and the way that we're distracted constantly. I remember a decade ago, you just went out to a show. You didn't know who was playing. You just went out and you hoped for the best. I don't know anybody that does that. They're always I have to know this one. I know the bassist in this one, and I've heard a couple of their songs, so maybe I'll go, maybe. But you don't just go to a show because people are playing and you want that entertainment. That's when you go to a bar maybe, but not a music venue. And they might happen to have some local something or something. That's what I have found anyway.
Mm-hmm. Any questions for them, K1?
As far as social media goes and such, I've been doing a little bit of research on you guys too. So again, where I screwed up, Joshua Cannon and Stephanie Connor of Dancing with Ghosts.
Yes.
So I picked my top 3 favorite songs of y'all's so far.
Awesome.
Number 1 being Faded Neon.
Oh, that's our brand new one.
Yeah. I just really love the vibes of that song.
Good
it's
choice.
Super just super retro. It's got that 80s vibe. It's so awesome. And then what was the second one? Oh, Eyes Wide Open.
Okay.
And then the other one, something with Nightmares Inside.
Nightmare Inside You.
Yeah, Nightmare Inside
Sweet.
You. Those 3 were amazing. What I really liked about it was the music video productions and stuff, and just the artistic side of just coming from Jacksonville. I'm I can't believe it. It's wow, this is such high production. It's so well put together and stuff. So
thank you.
So just going through the content that you have, I've dug through your YouTube channels, and I've
cool.
seen your overstimulation station channel and such and stuff. So as far as social media, how has it driven you these days? From when you first started, and then how it's helped you throughout.
How has it driven me? It's driven me crazy. Social media, man. I suck at it. I'm not good at it. I'm good at the content creation side, but as far as the marketing side and selling yourself and branding yourself and selling your brand and all that business that goes along with it, I am no good at that.
I mean, we are big into branding with our stuff. In each of our videos, there'll be one specific thing that we always make sure is in them. Little things like that, but that's kind of stuff for us. But yeah, the actual making posts is just nightmare fuel for both of us.
Gotcha. Yeah. Getting on social media, Instagram and stuff, keeping up with all that.
There's all these rules you have to follow if you want the best success, if you want your post to be seen. Make sure to put emojis, make sure to be positive, make sure to, I'm like, so you can't just post whatever you want and hope that people get it. Now it's this game, and I'm like, I'm not a marketing analyst, man. Like, I didn't go to school for this. I'm like, we're artists, so it's hard because we do every single thing from the music video production. We do it all. Like, either he's behind the camera, I'm behind the camera, or it's on a tripod. So every single thing we do is DIY. So it's hard to be holding that, like juggling that many balls, and also I'm a marketing analyst, and I'm, like, that's crazy. It's crazy to be able to have to, any DIY artist, it's crazy the amount of stuff that you have to do to keep up. But at the same time, social media is a great way to reach people. We've had people, from Wisconsin be like, hey, we really like your stuff. I'm like, that's awesome. How the heck did you find us?
Yeah.
We've never played there. So that's always good to be able to get those obscure things.
Yeah, it's amazing how far like social media reaches out. You'll get people from like Thailand or something, or like reach over overseas,
sure.
maybe like European states and stuff.
Well, I have a podcast that I do, and it was a lark, but it's gotten fairly big, and we have listeners in Sweden, we have listeners in Taiwan, we have listeners in all up in Canada, and they'll send me like care packages, and they'll order, I'll promote my band on the podcast, and they'll order copies of my CD, and I have to ship it to Taipei. I got to write all these funny names on the. I am so good at filling out international declaration forms now at my post office, and it's crazy. It's crazy that someone from Finland would want to. I've been doing music for 15 plus years, and I'm the better half of that, or the biggest chunk of that, I'm used to no one giving a crap about what I do. No one paid attention. No one was, I was just in my little man cave honing my craft. And it's like the past few years, I've really been working hard and grinding and doing what I feel like I need to do to succeed. And some of the fruits of that labor are starting to show themselves. For instance, being asked to do a podcast, no one would want to hear what I had to say 2 years ago, so it's just, it's cool, social media is cool in that way. And if it wasn't for social media, that none of this would be possible as much as it gets on our nerves.
Yeah, so there's positives and negatives,
Yeah, social media nowadays I explain it as like a two-edged sword. Like it's
for sure.
Definitely the sharper side, like the good side, but like you do have some bad sides.
Yeah, definitely.
It's great, but
I think you guys don't give yourselves enough credit as I think you get, because like I would say this is like just to come up with, if y'all are doing those videos. And then the music, then the beats and the production, holy, like, it takes, put it this way, I have my own label, right? And it takes years for me to get them to a certain level. You guys are doing like 20 times that, production of videos, the beat making, the music, just constructing all these elements of entertainment together is just phenomenal.
Thank you.
That's one reason I said, what, I want this band, because I want to hear this band, and I want to get to know them because they do so many things. And like he said, it's on a totally different level. You know what I'm saying? So definitely a pat on the back.
Well, thank you. I mean,
it's kind of genius to me, if you ask me. Go ahead.
We kind of feel like sometimes we're putting all this hard work into this content that we're generating, and when you're grinding up that hill, sometimes it feels like you're just throwing it all into the void, and it's like, does anyone even care, and it's like, to hear you even say that is very gratifying for me personally, because I put a lion's share of the work into the video production, into the music making. Stephanie came on board a few years ago, but it's been my operation for the most part this whole time. And I don't know, I was just that nerd that instead of went out and hung out with my friends, I learned Final Cut, and I learned, video techniques. I loved music videos growing up, so I knew all the, I didn't know, but I visually, I had reference points for shots that I wanted, and I just figured out myself how to do it. Yeah. And as a little piece of advice for anyone listening out there, YouTube has tutorials on literally everything. I know. So if you want to learn how to do anything, there is a YouTube tutorial out there, and it's free. if you have internet, that is. But you know, so I mean, thank you though for saying that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, a lot of that comes
Definitely.
just from the fact that he has honed so many of those things. Like I didn't have those skills. I still can't do like the editing parts, but I will like have a lot to say, like, oh well, we need to snap to this or we need to do that. But I've learned so much like just behind the camera, so I'm able to get much better shots now than we were 5-6 music videos ago. So that's really, really cool, because each video we pride ourselves that we get better and better and better, because it is all like, well, what can we do? Now I'm starting to be able to get ideas of like, oh, I want to get this shot this way. Oh, I want to do this. So like the last one, I was like, all right, I want black lights and neon. I want to dance on the bar. I want to get these shots, And so and he's like getting all these crazy flamboyant things that he gets to wear. And I was like, this is a lot of fun. Because, we're to a point now where we can bounce ideas off. And my favorite thing about working with him on anything, whether it's music or music videos, whatever, is that we both have a really bad habit of not telling each other no. For our video, The Nightmare Inside You, he's just like, I kind of want to be in the woods with our initials behind us on fire. And I was like, I can build those.
I saw that and I was like, what am I watching? This is so awesome.
I'm in the living room at my house. I got a saw and a hammer and nails, and I'm like sawing away, and my mom is looking at me like, don't cut your foot off.
We didn't even know how
amazing.
we didn't even know how to how do people light stuff on fire and keep it burning for a long. We have to look that up.
We looked up videos on napalm. We're looking at videos on, and we're probably on some government watch list because of the stuff. I was like, well, what sorts of things are set on fire for long periods of time? I was like, that one Madonna video, KKK. It all just looks crazy if you were to look through our internet searches. So we're probably on some watch list, but we figured out how to make napalm for this video.
No, it wasn't napalm.
It was an approximation.
Well, no, you did
styrofoam and gasoline.
To keep those letters burning, we took our old band shirts because they sucked.
They were terrible.
They were so bad. Nobody feel bad if you didn't get one of our first band shirts. They were so awful. We took the extra ones that I knew I was never gonna sell because they were so crappy, and we wrapped them around the wooden lettering.
And we cut them.
And then we used aluminum wiring, and we tied that around the cloth to hold it in place. Then my dad made this gasoline kerosene
styrofoam
mixture. No, there was no.
There
we
was
didn't
styrofoam.
make napalm.
Yes,
Don't
we did.
put us on a list.
We did.
There was no napalm involved.
Okay. We don't want to be on a list, so we didn't do that. Definitely didn't.
So far in this
It was
interview,
styrofoam.
you've mentioned napalm and the KKK. What the hell is wrong with you? Good Lord. But anyway, it ended up working out. We had one shot. We had one chance to get that shot, because if that didn't work, then we couldn't have redone that. It would have set the whole video back weeks, and so anyway.
I was definitely amazed by that scene.
Yeah, that scene was very stressful, because it's we lit the letters, and it's okay, and we don't know how long these letters are going to burn. Let's get, pick up your guitar, hit record, go, get 3 takes and done, and thankfully one of the takes worked. So that was the Nightmare Inside You video at the end, if anyone wants to check out the scene we're talking about.
That was definitely awesome.
Awesome. So as for let's talk about the next level, okay? Are you guys looking to sign a major deal, or are you just kind of we're independent, we're local? Because some bands are like that. They're content with being local, and then there's some ones we want to go nationwide. So, how do you guys feel about that?
Well, I don't know. What are you offering?
No, we definitely.
Well, I got some. We'll talk after this.
No, we're not.
We'll talk.
We're not content being local. We like to think that we think bigger than that. And the beautiful thing is, we already do so much. So I feel like we just haven't been seen by the right people as part of it. Because the thing is, the amount that different record labels and different things, they all give you something different. But what we bring to the table is that we do all of our stuff. It's we're like stuntmen. We do all our own stunts, man. We just need your backing. So that puts us, I think, in a different advantage category than a lot of other locals, because we are already operating, or we try to operate at that higher next level. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to be. So no, local is not our dream. We're actually planning summer touring and stuff right now. So yeah,
I would say this I believe you guys are going in the right direction. doing a lot of things your own. Because what happens is once you do get a major deal, a lot of those things that you do very well, even the video production, the major labels are going to be asking for that from you. So that's like double to triple the money. Even if you can engineer your own music, they're going to be having you engineer music for other artists on the major label. So that's something you got to pay attention. That's why I knew once I got a hold of you guys and I did my research too, I said, you know what, they're going to be very powerful in the future. So again, a pat on the back with that. And then are you guys familiar with the 360 deal?
I've heard of that 360 deal.
What do you know about that? I just want to kind of pick your brain a little bit.
What I've heard about that deal is they basically take a cut from everything you do. Merch, ticket sales, album sales, streams, whatever. The label takes a cut from everything.
Very true.
And that's all I really know about it.
Okay, so yeah, you know, that's kind of how a lot of the deals are going now. The reason for that is because, you know, they're not selling as much records as they used to.
Right.
So now they need to get a little bit of that tour money, records, everything. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, you want to pay attention to the signing bonus too. You know, the signing bonus can go from the basic to all the way up to past $1 million. But the thing about it is some of that money has to go towards your new videos, advertisement, production. And again, like we tell other artists, major deals are just like loans. You have to still pay that money back.
Right.
So it's important for you to use it properly. You know, of course, you're going to get some for your family and all that stuff, but you have to use it properly. And actually, you have to call them and say, hey, I'm going to record in Texas or Miami. They cut the check then.
Okay.
It's not like you just sitting with 3 to 4 million on your desk. You're like, ooh, we can do whatever we want. No, you still got to call them, ask, and then they'll pretty much write the check.
So you mean to tell me I can't be sitting here with like petting my cat with a stack of gold coins just dropping them? My life dreams have just been shattered right now.
Thanks, Wade.
So, but again, you still get a cut of the money, you know what I mean, a major cut of it, but mostly it's to make sure you get the right videos and production. But again, that goes to what we talked about. If you're producing everything,
that's
100%. So that's more money
right
in the pocket. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So are you getting what I'm saying?
Oh,
So it's important for you guys to continue to do that.
Well, cause I could just imagine like a band that, you know, they're just a band and they're 4 guys and they, you know, they're just making, you know, the music that they make and they get some kind of, you know, deal, they get some kind of bonus. Yeah, it's basically a loan, you know, it's basically like a big loan and you have to use that money wisely, you know. Yeah, you could go to the studio that Paramore recorded at and pay $200 an hour, or you could go to your buddy's garage and pay $20 an hour. It's going to sound awful, but, you know, that's the product that, you know, that's on you, you know. You're going to squander your money away if you go to the nice studio, but if you go to the crappy one that's, you know, not going to sound good, you know, then they want you to make a music video and you hire someone to make you a music video and they're charging you $3,000 for a video, you know, and all that. And, you know, if you don't know anything about how to do any of that, then those are things that you have to think about. And thankfully for me and for us, we're a set it and forget it band. I mean, you know, all I would really need from a label, I would imagine, is, you know, any kind of relationships they have with A&R people, with representation as far as like management and things like that.
Wider reach, really.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
because we're as far as everything else that a label could offer us, we're already, you know, we're already doing all that. Our album, our Spotify song, all that. I mean, that's all mixed, mastered, recorded, you know, performed by us. You know.
So let me ask you this. So being that you do everything, like even the business, another thing I want to bring to your guys' attention, which is super professional on your behalf, is even your email structure. Like when I emailed you guys, you sent me like a semi kind of like press kit. I was like, what the? That is the first, and I don't know if that was on your part.
That was me.
Yeah.
I was like blown away because normally when I email artists, if I'm interested, they're kind of just like, oh yeah, what's up, dude? Like the email is just so, you know. With them, it was like doom, 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 doom. They had all their titles of where to find them. I was like, oh my goodness, these people know what they're doing.
Thank you. I try not to overwhelm people, but like I do a lot of like our booking and stuff, so I take a very similar approach when I reach out to venues. So I'm kind of used to doing that, and we have we have well more than enough material to do that. I can pick and choose what, I want to do these music videos, or I want to do these pictures, or whatever. We have so much content. We are content creating machines. So we have a lot of different things to pull from, depending on, like, oh, this is more of like a rock metal station, I'm going to send them Nightmare. Oh, this is more of a pop station, they get Eyes Wide. Like I pick and choose. But I love the fact that we have all of that to do all of that. And that was something we've had to work on. Like I've got some musician friends out in LA, and I remember, like, a year ago I was like, hey, can you kind of walk me through, like, what does this process look like? And he's, like, the lead singer from one of my old favorite bands. He actually took the time to call me, walk me through that process of, like, what that should look like, what to expect from a label, what to expect from management, like, all of these different things. So that's having that person in my corner is extremely beneficial, because they've done it. They've done hundreds of tours. They're
right. So they kind of have an idea of what you need to, and how you need to send things.
Yeah. So if people that aren't gonna, like, they're not gonna BS you or puff out their chest, they're just gonna try to help you. That's because I don't think that music is a competition. I really don't. There's enough music for everybody, and you can like more than one band, and you can like all the bands. So I never understood that whole, like, competitive. Oh, got to put them down to, like, that's just not our style. So. We like, I like picking people's brains, when we can. And, if they have more knowledge than me, I want that knowledge,
Right.
So.
And that's good.
Definitely what we said about on our first episode, like, coming together, like, Jacksonville. One of the things that Southern Prince pointed out was, like, his answer to, like, all the local artists here, like, we got to put away that. So one thing he said, he had to, like, artists had to put away that, like, thug image and stuff like that, kind of. He wants to, like, try and get, like, all the artists in Jacksonville to come together, to, like, bring their content, and, like you said, like, don't bring other people down, like, come together and actually just work together and put Jacksonville on the spot,
Yeah.
Nice.
We played a show recently at Jackrabbits. It was December 14th, and it was with a bunch of Jacksonville bands. Some of them tour, some of them maybe not so much, but I think there was one band from Tallahassee, but it was mostly Jack's bands, and they were all hard rock, and we were we again stuck out like a sore thumb, but that's fine. It was such a everyone really kind of came together for that show and brought a lot of people out. Their fans liked our music and vice versa, and it was just such a rare thing nowadays that, like, wow, like, we're all getting along, and the bands are complimenting each other on stage, like, hey, give it up for Defy the Tyrant, or give it up for Bleeding in Stereo, and it was just such a, like, warm experience, because we played a lot of shows in the last 2 years, and we've had some really bad shows. Not that we performed bad, but just the environment was weird, and the bands were too cool to talk to each other, and so it's really powerful when you can actually, that rare, all the planets align, and you have an actual local show in Jax where, like, all the bands are cool with each other, and it's you gain new fans, and it's just a positive environment. It's like, why can't it always be like this? Why does it have to be some kind of
like a dog-eat-dog world
Yeah.
type of deal.
Everyone's got to act so hard, you know. Like, you know, it's like, what's the point? And it's like, dude, you play a guitar. You're not that hard. Like,
I don't know what it. And it's everywhere. It's through the hip hop culture too. So don't feel bad.
Yeah.
I just thought I thought it was really cool though, because you've got like all these different, you know, like I said, like a lot of them are like hard rock, you know, that sort of thing. But when you got a dude that looks like rock and roll Santa coming up to you and be like, I really dig your stuff, you know, it's really, really cool. Like, I don't just listen to rock. I was like, thanks. Like, that's really nice. Like, because you don't know what to expect when you go into these environments unless you've met these people before. And all you can do is like, hey, I'm so-and-so, da-da-da, it's nice to meet you. Hope you have a good set, whatever.
If you talk crap about me behind my back when we're playing, just keep it to a dull roar so I can't hear you. You know.
If I can only hear slight murmurings and have only suspicions and not confirmations, that'd be great. You know. But no, it was such a great show, great turnout. So that was like a really good closure to our year's, you know, show. So that was really positive to see so many locals that actually were like super supportive. That was nice.
Yeah, that goes back to your point of, you know, the community and all that coming together and all that. Like when it does happen, in the rare instance that it happens, it's a really awesome thing.
And so, Steph, quick question. Let's talk about image real quick.
Yeah.
I'm big on image. Like,
Yeah.
just by looking at you guys' covers, and when I Googled you, the image is there. What inspired your image? And nowadays, you do have to have image. If you,
Yes.
I mean, you got to be a blow-away singer just to have no image and just you have to be super phenomenal. But the image plays a big factor in this. This is what caught my interest too. Like, explain a little bit about that.
Okay, so each of our shows is a little bit different, but one of the things we always wanted to be able to do is when we create music videos, we create these characters, we create these worlds that they live in, things like that. So one of the characters you'll see most often for me is my character Alaric. She's a combination of like a succubus, Japanese oni kind of inspired monstrous creature. But she, they all have backstories and they all live in these videos, but we like to sometimes abstract them and put them in our live shows. Not all the time. We do play as like humans with a flair and affinity for fashion sometimes, but it just depends on the show and, the bands we're playing with. So like our last one, I was wearing like a kimono and I had just like red splashy paint on my face and it was, it was super fun, very colorful. But each show's a little bit different, and that's one of the things we always like to do is be able to change. We don't ever want to lock into just one thing. This is all we are. This is all we ever want to do.
That is amazing. Yeah.
But that's why, like on our album cover for Hex, you have me as Alaric, that half-naked demon thing, and then you have him as Callus. Callus is from our Glorious Night video. So Callus is like
a witch doctor kind of looking
with the white
top
face
hat and
and like in that video, Callus is actually like a manifestation of addiction. So if you watch it, like that's kind of, you'll watch this whole transition. So each of our videos, we try to be good at storytelling, but that's where a lot of our imagery comes from, is because we don't just like to play, we like to create, and because we don't say no, because we don't tell each other no, it's like, I want to be covered in white face paint and have white contacts and be drippy and gross. We can do that. Like, we just, each one is different.
I mean, it just breeds interest. It can't help but to breed interest. Whether it's negative interest or positive interest, you're not going to ignore it. You can't ignore it. Yeah. If we were dressed in cargo shorts and baggy t-shirts, we'd look like every other dad rock band in the country, and no one would care.
Yeah.
And, me and Stephanie are both coming from bands where we were the frustrated kids who wanted to wear masks and face paint and be super theatrical, and the bands we were in were very, that was verboten, that was not allowed. And so when we kind of finally like convened, it's like, screw it, man, we're if we want to wear face paint and we want to wear masks or whatever, we're gonna do it, because it's more fun for us, it's more visually interesting to the crowd, and it has put some people off. Some people, especially with the face paint thing, they look at us and like, what is this, like some Juggalo stuff? Like, this is some ICP, thing, or, Kiss or whatever. But, we're kind of trying to go towards a more dialed back look in 2020. That's kind of our goal, is to, because, we don't have all the answers to everything, obviously, so we're always experimenting, and now we want to try a more dialed back look and still be artsy and have some dramatic flair, but not to where if, say, a promoter takes one look at us and goes, oh, that's some weird Marilyn Manson band, let's book them with another weird Marilyn Manson band. But it's like, but that's not what we sound like. You're just judging us off of what we look like.
Yeah, so there are pros and cons, and I think, it doesn't mean that we'll never, ever, ever do those, characters or shows again, because that's just not likely. That's just kind of the weird stuff that we do sometimes. But, pick and choose, like, okay, we're on this particular set of, shows where, these artists are a little bit more like, we did a show prior to this at this place in Orlando, and it was with this super dark electronic cyberpunk band. So I was like, of course we're gonna roll out, all the stops and whistles for this one. So like at some of our shows, I'll actually even have like a costume change, and I turn into the witch character from our music video, The Witch. But it was appropriate because that was the name of the game at that show.
But then we played some indie rock festival in Tallahassee where it's a bunch of DIY punk bands, and we dressed like this because it was more.
It was
we roll up there in face paint. We're gonna just be like, get the heck out of here, like with all that, So it's just really whatever the show is. But whatever the case, our guarantee is that we are going to stand out visually.
Yes.
And that's always our
Definitely
big thing. We never want to look like everybody else ever. That was probably a triple negative, but you know what I'm saying.
We never don't sometimes kind of want to do the things.
Yeah, exactly.
It's perfect.
Yep.
So another question I have, as for back in my day, younger days, I went on tour with Kelly Clarkson, right? First American
Fancy.
Idol. Yeah. So I got to see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and one thing I saw is we had to sign so many autographs. Also, I want to talk about.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, no. The reason,
Gosh, that'd be
seriously, people don't
terrible.
talk about this. I'm talking about this because people say, "Oh man, I would love to have fans and sign autographs." Dude, when you're signing almost 800 autographs per night, that becomes stressful. How do you guys relate to your fans? Are you able to deal with that type of pressure? It gets crazy, seriously. So I want your take on that.
Well, for instance, that show we were talking about in Orlando with that cyberpunk band, basically this is how I do it. I walk away and I let Stephanie handle everything.
Every show is like
God,
this.
that's so
My
funny.
job is merch booth. I come from I was a retail store manager for years and years and years, so I'm actually very good with people, with selling stuff, with talking to people at the booth. I'm a good face for the booth. He schmoozes in a different way. He'll go from kind of group to group to group, and it looks like he's not doing stuff. And sometimes in my head, I'm like, he might not be doing stuff, but I know that it's building connections.
Subtle.
Yeah.
I'm a little
Subtle.
salty
You
because I
gotta-
have to stay at the booth.
You gotta look a little deeper to what
Yeah.
I'm doing. It's real subtle.
Yeah. No.
It's necessary observation.
Planting the seeds in their minds.
Yeah, but it is important because there's only two of us. So where it becomes stressful for me is if people are wanting autographs and photos, and I have to go wrangle him because
Yeah.
he's God knows where at that point. Because he does float. He floats. I stay stationary after a show because it's important. We don't have a merch booth person. Right. We ain't that big. It's two of us.
Yeah, we'll get you
So,
that.
yeah.
We'll get you that.
But yeah, no, we like to interact with anybody that wants to interact with us.
Also, sales data has shown that when I'm standing by the booth, there's a 200% decrease in merch sales. So I just let the pretty lady, stand there, and if I'm wanted for an autograph or a picture, I'm summoned, and that's pretty much how that goes.
All right, this is something important we need to talk about too. So
Okay.
it's really, I want you guys to pay attention to
Serious.
this question. Yeah,
All right.
check this
Okay.
out. So I've seen bands like yourself in the past, as me growing up in this whole industry. I dib in everything, hip hop, whatever it is, rock, everything. So I've seen situations where money gets involved and bands split up because let's say I would never do this to y'all, but let's say a person comes along, very wealthy guy, say, "Hey, we just like Steph," or "We just like," you know what I mean? They start handpicking and then end up taking one of you and putting you in a different type of band, even though the bands could be famous. You just never know.
Right.
What is your loyalty to each other, and if somebody says $5 million, split it up, will you guys go for that, or you take a stand? I mean, it's we're talking millions. Seriously, I want you to think about this. Go ahead.
For me, it's like a no-brainer. This is the project I've wanted to be in my entire life. My past bands, they couldn't do what we have done in a month, and I'd be in that project for years. And so this is a dream project. I'm doing all the things that I want to do, so I feel much more fulfilled with this. Plus, I can't do most of those things without him. So I can't do them. You can give me a camera and I'll get some cool shots, but I can't
Team effort.
Yeah, he does all of the actual music production, and I can come up with some little things, or I make suggestions. I'm like, oh no, we need double bass here. We do so I do have a hand in it, but my hands aren't actually involved. It's my mouth. My mouth is involved in that, and so I could absolutely never, nor would I want to. We're best friends, and so
good.
our partnership is so tight.
The reason I say this because relationships do fade. You think about Gwen Stefani. I mean, she's not totally y'all genre, but Gwen Stefani had an issue like that, and you notice she ended up going solo. So I mean, it does happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen to you guys, but one thing I will say is, always stay true to each other, no matter what happens. And you know where you come from. You know, that's very important. And hopefully you guys, cling on to that.
Yeah, me and Stephanie at this point, we're basically brother and sister, and we've been through so much together. She was around when my dad passed away, and she was like in the living room when I lost my mind and was just weeping. She was even at the hospital a few days ago when I had food poisoning a few days before Christmas. So,
Geez, we appreciate you coming this
I
didn't know all that. Yeah.
I'm 100% now,
Yes.
but yesterday I was like 98%, and the day before I was like 70%, and then before that I was deceased. But we're family. I mean, I consider her family, and we, it's the sound, the Dancing with Ghosts sound, and then not only the sound, but it's all the other stuff. Like, for instance, we can ride in a car together for 5 hours
and not
and
murder.
be okay. We can sleep together in hotel rooms and be okay. We can, all the stuff that that's not just recording or performing on stage, because that's like 5% of being in a band. That's like the most glorious part that everyone focuses on, being on stage and all that. But like 95% of being in a band is waiting, driving, setting up, tearing down.
Very true.
Networking, whatever. The glamorous crap is like 5%. So it's one thing to have someone that you sound good with on stage, but for the rest of that 95% of the time, can you be around them without wanting to kill them? And with her, that's the case. I mean, we can do that. We've found that balance with each other. And to me, that's almost more important than talent. Because
I've ran into issues like that, so I definitely know what he's talking about.
Yeah, because how many like really talented groups have broken up just because they hated each other?
So true.
And
they're super talented.
It's super talented, and everyone wanted them to stay together, and they will not reunite. They will not get back together.
Yeah.
Screw that guy. I hate him.
Yeah,
That's a big thing, big part of it.
Definitely some very strong synergy through you two, as I've seen through as I've heard through like your music, seen through your music videos, very like expressive and such. And just want to bring up like your recent album, Hex. Just want to put that on a little promotion here.
Oh, yeah.
You want to talk about your album a bit and like where people can get it and listen to it?
Hex was basically kind of a amalgamation of our first two albums. My album, Quana Scotzi, that was the Dancing with Ghosts' first official album before Stephanie joined the band, and then our second album, which is more like an EP called The Nightmare Inside You. What we wanted to do was, since Stephanie became such an integral part of the band after she joined, was we wanted to take the best songs off of my first album that she was not on, and the best songs off of Nightmare, because there was some ones on there that people didn't really respond to, and we wanted to basically make like a greatest hits album, a compilation of our best songs off our first two albums, record Stephanie's vocals on the songs off the first album, and even in that short time, I had gotten better at mixing and mastering. So I heard some of the songs off the first and second albums, and I was like, I can do it better. I can rebuild it. I can make it greater. So I wanted to like remix some parts. I wanted to tweak some parts, having lived with the albums for a little while, having performed them live, and just so people would feel like they're truly getting the bang for their buck, we recorded a brand new song, The Narcissist, for that album. And Hex,
Yeah,
right?
and
The opening track, Hex. And new artwork, full, 8-page gatefold with all the lyrics and all that. To really just make it the definitive Dancing with Ghosts package. If you want to know what we're about, buy this album. It's got all the songs that are the best songs to know from us. It's got the lyrics. It's got backstory for the characters. So that's kind of the story behind Hex. You can get it on iTunes. You can get it on Google Play. Amazon, Bandcamp. If you want a physical CD copy of it, we have some of those for sale on bandcamp.com.
We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, all that. If you like streaming,
streaming.
All that. Another reason that we did that album was also because we do so many live shows. It came down to like, well, I want, what album should I buy? Because we had, 2 with Koyaanisqatsi and we had Nightmare available. But I was only on one of those, even though I sing on both of those. So when you hear it live, there's that disconnect of like, well, that's not the way the way I heard it. Yeah. So we wanted to make
made
sure
it easier to have one album instead of 2. People are like, which album should I buy? And it's like, I don't know. We played songs off of both albums tonight. We don't really. I don't know. Whichever one looks the best to you, I guess. Yeah. It just made it easier to have one singular product to go. This is the definitive album. Buy this one.
Yeah. So that's another reason that we did that, and we've actually come out with 2 songs since then because we just
Faded Neon being one of them.
Yeah. So Faded Neon and The White Room, which have both really done well for us. I'm thrilled with the reception of those because those were both very different from each other and different from stuff that we've done in the past. So it's always good. When you're putting out something new, when people know you for this sound, it's always a little scary because you want to, stay true to you and be like, I want to make a retro track. I want to make a, whatever. So when you put out that stuff, you're always like, how is this going to be received within the people that already know you? But really, it's more important to get more of a reach because the people that know you can only do so much. You always want to be getting more. So, and our sound is not one definitive sound. It never has been, So that's what I like. Each track you can listen to it. You're like, oh, well, this song is my jam. I really do feel like that if, there's probably a track for everybody given the amount of stuff that we have done. So that's the beauty of it, I think.
What do you think is you guys' legacy? Like what do you feel like, what message are you trying to deliver to the people? Like, what is your mission? Every major artist has a mission, whether it's like you think of the greats, let's say in the hip hop sense, the Biggie Smalls, the Tupacs, these people had like certain missions, you know what I mean? Like, what is your goal and mission? What are you trying to get out there?
Well, I mean, whenever you talk about mission, I guess you have to focus on lyrics. What are our lyrics mainly about? And really it's to reach people who have, mental health struggles. Whether that be depression, anxiety, agoraphobia, OCD, whatever. We both struggle with these things, and our lyrics are based on that. A lot of times, I mean, you can, out of all the songs we have, probably 75-80% of them deal with brain problems, essentially. Wow. And that's because I write what I know and what I feel, and a lot of times when those things are bothering me the most, and I want to connect with other people out there who are going through those problems. I had this guy from England stumble upon my first album, and it really helped him because he felt he was on the autism spectrum, and he was really bad with interacting with people and at his school and making friends and all that, and in my album, he really enjoyed it because he could relate to so much of the lyrical content that I had written, and that was huge for me. That was like really a big deal. I mean, musically, that's one thing. I love music, and the people out there who listen to our songs just because they like the music. Hey, that's how I am. But for those people who look for deeper meaning in lyrics, to help them in their life struggles, like that would be the legacy that I would want to leave for the band personally.
All right, Steph, you're up the bat on that question.
I was gonna say stealing on my thunder. Yeah, I mean, because part of it is like we want to be able to put out content, but another part of it is like you said, the mental health struggles. We want everybody to feel like you're never really alone. Like I'm not the only person that is going through this. I'm not the only person. And granted, like the other 25% of our stuff is like storytelling stuff. So like The Witch, it's about a witch. So we have some stuff that's kind of like you listen to it and you're like, okay, it's a story song. But yeah, as far as our legacy goes, like we like pushing that envelope, but from a person to person standpoint, we do like to take time with anybody that wants to listen to our stuff, that messages us. You know, I always try to respond to anything, you know, anything that I can. You know, because it's important. Like, I know, for me personally, the reason I always liked music, and as a teenager, I always wanted to be in bands, but I didn't think that I could do it. I would sing and I would sing and I would sing, and I got a lot better, but I didn't think that I had what it took until I met the singer of my favorite band at the time. And man, when I saw them, I was like maybe 20. When I saw them, and he actually took the time to talk to me, and like, shoot, I'm wearing the bassist's pick right now. Like, they're so freaking cool. Like, they're awesome people. That lit that fire under me, and I was like, I'm building a band. I had never written a song before. I just knew that I could do it. I just knew the only thing holding me back was me. So I Craigslisted. Oh yeah, sure, yeah, I could totally write music. Done it all the time. I had never written a song before. So, like,
hey, you were driven. Though.
Yeah. I feel like if you really feel like you can do something, you probably can. A lot of times the only one holding you back is you. So even if anybody hears our stuff, if it helps one person with mental struggles or perseverance or cool visuals, whatever, I don't care. Like, if it inspires one person, you've done something. You've put something out in the world that's worth being there. You know, because I think all art is subjective. There is no one art that is right for everyone, but you don't get to pick and choose who your art affects or how it affects them. Like, I don't think any of the artists that have heavily affected me in my life, they've never freaking known me. They don't know. So, you know, you can't ever assume what content you're putting out and how it might affect others. And I think that's the beautiful thing of art in general, all art, you know. So that's kind of the way I view it anyway.
Awesome.
So, going back to like social media, like the platforms that you use, like what are the major platforms that you use? And like one of them, I guess, going to me for a little bit. Personally, I'm usually a Twitch streamer. Yeah.
So that logo, I was like, yeah, he's a Twitch guy.
I was hiding this shirt, but
Okay.
the Resident Evil 7.
Yes! Oh my god, I love Resident Evil so much.
Yeah.
I want that shirt. Give it to me right now.
I'll wear it just for you.
Thank you.
But
you knew.
yeah, and so just going to like the different platforms. What has been like your strongest platform, and have you ever tried like streaming before, like Twitch streaming or any other, like maybe YouTube?
Yes, we
lives
have
or
tried
something?
streaming, and it's gone pretty good. We streamed on Instagram.
Quite a few times.
Quite a few times.
Yeah.
We played out on the street one time, like literally, like
Busking.
busking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like promoting for an upcoming show. We had like a little billboard, open guitar case, all that jazz.
Yeah, like we wanted to try everything, and it's like, what local band is going to play out on the streets, literally, and play their songs and force people to listen, force passerbys to listen to their music? Us, that's who.
I will say my favorite part about that whole experience, a girl walking by actually recognized one of our songs, and that like blew me away. She was like, I was at your show a couple weeks ago. The fact that she recognized something that we did and like stopped, and like you can hear her on the recording, I know that song. I was like, that made me so freaking happy.
That made your heart sing.
It did. It was our song Circles, which like that's about my anxiety. So that was like, I was like, oh my gosh, you know my song.
But yeah, as far as social media platforms that we use, I mean, you know, it's all the typical ones: Facebook, Instagram.
I can tell you that we check Spotify every single day. We're always like sending notes back and forth, like, oh, these are our numbers today. These are the major cities.
This is our monthly
like,
listeners today. This is our followers.
I love digging into data.
And it's grown. It keeps growing. That's good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like sweet. But I'd say the most effective, I don't know, I guess Facebook would be the most effective social media tool we've used. I know a lot of people are getting on in the Instagram train now, and
I think Instagram was easier before they changed their algorithms.
yeah,
We've
they
seen a
they
major
changed
drop
stuff up
off
on there a lot, and I don't know about it now.
I think that was more like July, I think, is when that happened. And we've tried like, researching like, okay, what do we need to do? Hashtag differently or so we're still, yet again, not marketing people. So we try to keep up the best we can. But they're always changing. There is no like, just because something fits today doesn't mean it'll actually work tomorrow. They're always changing stuff. So.
Yeah, like the techniques like last year are totally just obsolete now, you know?
So So that kind of ties into how do you plan on growing your fan base in the future, especially rolling into 2020. There has to be a strategy of direction you guys are going. What do you think?
Glad you asked. So what we're going to do is we're going to make reprints of our CD Hex. I'm going to I've already mailed out Hex in some form or another to, I think it's been at least 8 non-commercial radio stations all throughout the country. Okay. We met this guy at a show who got us some connect with giving us the email addresses for all these places. So I've sent out not press kits, but with CD with some stickers and shit. And sorry if I can't curse on that.
No, you're good.
I've been trying to hold it back, but that one just slipped out. So we did that. So we're trying to, that will continue. Email or sending our physical packages out to radio stations. We're going to look up bands that we feel sound like us or that we could be in the ballpark with. We're going to find out what label they're on, and we're going to send physical copies to all those labels. We're planning tours right now. We have a huge tour coming up in June. We want a spring tour. And as far as we might be releasing a new song and just staying on releasing weekly content, whether it be pictures, videos, whatever. We try to do daily as much as we can, but that's a struggle.
You don't want to just unload everything for the sake of doing so. You have to be a little strategic, and we create a lot of content, but that there's a limit. do you really have 7 different videos and posts and pictures and stuff for every single day of the week? No, probably not. But you want to engage as much as you can, and we try to post interesting stuff, or things like that. So
well, it sounds to me, I see some of the elements you guys are missing. You guys kind of want to focus on just certain things, and there should be other people on your team that are focusing on something. It kind of takes the load off you. I'm not saying take over your vision and what you're trying to do, but there are holes that need to be filled and that can help you move faster, and you don't have to worry about, okay, this guy's taking care of this person's taking care of that. We can focus on the music a little bit more, because it's definitely stressful.
Oh yeah, we wear all the hats. Yeah. Between the two of us, one of us has to wear any of the hats. So, it does push us, but we're constantly thinking about what we can be doing, what's the next step. We talk every day. What are we doing? What are the plans? Where are we going? Everything we do is planned.
Thankfully, we have jobs to where we can do that. We're both DJs at night, so we work a few hours each night and a few days a week, and then we have all this time during the day that we're able to do all this stuff. And I don't know how people with kids and wives and all that. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how you would do it. With all the stuff you have to do, it'd be impossible.
I do feel that way. That's actually why I started DJing, because he did it, and he's like, you could do that, and he's like, it'll leave you so much more time. So I've always been a 40 to 50 hour work week sort of person. I'm good at it. But this is the thing. That's the problem, is I'm good at it. I was very focused on that, but you can't do all of that and still have all of the brain work, the actual energy. And I like to work out. For a little bit, I was a personal trainer, so I like working out, And if you're trying to do 40 to 50 hours and stay fit and, have creative energy left and energy, it's not all glamorous. Do you know how long it takes to, do all the emails and send all those out and you have to write everything down so you can, check back in, and, you're always trying to get all these network connections, because connections are make or break. You have to have connections, and it's unfortunate, but it's true. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how good your content is. If you don't have the right connections, you're dead in the water. So, you need as much of that as you can. So networking is king for sure. But, there's 2 of us. And we just try to constantly be a step ahead as much as we can. That's all you can do. That's all you can really do, when you're in our position, because we do fully fund our videos. We fully fund our albums, our merch, every single thing. And there's, only 2, people to pull from. So if you were in a 5-person, then you split 5 ways. We could probably afford a marketing or a this or that. We we do as much as we can, and our lives are set up to be as conducive to that lifestyle as possible, to doing all the time. Yeah. But we do it because we love what we do, you know.
Just have like a certain budget, you know, between you two. But yeah, I'm definitely, like I said, I'm definitely interested. We're definitely going to talk. I know there's things that I can provide to you guys that's going to help catapult you as well. So we'll talk, you know, some other time. But let me ask you this: if you wasn't doing music, what would you be doing?
Are we talking dream goals or like we living on planet Earth?
Let's keep this PG too, by the way.
No.
I'm joking.
Like dream goals. Let's see. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a comic book author. I wanted to be a comic book artist. And so actually, our main shirt, the very first one that we actually considered our band shirt, not the one that we cut up and burned, not that one. The first one that I had a hand in is actually hand drawn by me, and it's got both of our like character likenesses on it, and it's really colorful and splashy. But that was my way of like, I was like, how can I use these skills that I have, actually, you know, use them for good, you know? So it's so freaking cool when I see people coming in and wearing our shirts, because it's the next closest thing to me, like, oh, I have my own anime series. Look, I can hear the theme song right now. You know, it's like the next best thing. But yeah, I would probably be a lot more involved in my art end of it. So if I didn't have that,
I'd just focus more on my podcast and my YouTube channel personally. If I wasn't doing music, I'd put all my time into that. I'd probably get more into streaming, like video game content, and my YouTube channel, I established, you know, outside of Dancing with Ghosts. That was kind of its own thing, and now I've just kind of combined the two together, but, you know, it's its own separate thing. There's a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel that don't have anything to do with my band. So I'd probably just go back to doing that. I'm gonna pry myself into the public eye one way or another, whether they want me there or not. I'm gonna be there, damn it. Well, it's on podcast, YouTube, or your radio.
All right, Dancing with the Ghosts, man. I know they're gonna do major things. I'm very excited. Is there something? Go ahead, K1.
Oh no, it was just a great pleasure to have you guys here.
Thank you.
Again,
fun.
Dancing with Ghosts with Joshua Cannon,
Yep.
Cannon, and Stephanie Connor. So, so glad to have you guys here.
Thank you for having us.
With
Yeah.
7R and Wade.
This is sweet.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah, it's been
gonna
super cool.
live to see everybody. I know we're getting angles.
Oh, okay.
K1.
But yeah, we're
This thing was strategically blocking
Yes.
my face the entire time.
Whole time, so I want to stand up.
all good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Y'all wave at the camera. We're live. Facebook.
What up, Facebook?
What up?
Alright.
But yeah, I guess that'll bring our podcast to a close because that's
Okay.
about all the time
We'll
we
talk
have
to the live
today.
people.
So again, a great pleasure to have you guys here.
Thank you,
local
thank you.
local artists from Jacksonville, putting Jacksonville on the spot. I really like your content too, and
Thank you.
the direction that you two are going. It's phenomenal.
Sweet.
I really like your
Thank you.
styles.
Thank you.
So we're definitely Facebook. We're definitely gonna bring them back. They don't even know it. I like this interview. It was fun. Do you guys want to say something to Facebook?
Yeah.
Facebook.com/dancingwithghosts2.
Yep.
Say it again. So go ahead.
Facebook.com/dancingwithghosts and the number 2 because I didn't get there quick enough to get the just Facebook.com/dancingwithghosts, YouTube.com/dancingwithghosts, Spotify, Dancing with Ghosts, and if you die and come back to life and you see a pretty girl, you might also be dancing with ghosts.
Oh my God, you didn't have to do that.
I know.
But yeah, if nothing else, like please check out one of our music videos. You might find something that you like.
All right. K1.
All right.
Oh, and
Well,
you know,
that's it.
Spotify. Please
I already
follow
said
us on
Spotify.
Spotify. But please follow us. Please add us to your playlist. That stuff helps a lot. And I check it every single day. So it makes me happy. Do it because it makes me happy.
Awesome.
All right. That's it, y'all.
That's it for 7R podcast with
7R.
Dancing with Ghosts. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and
Thank you guys.
have a great day.
Sweet.
Have a good night.
7R Dancing with Ghosts.
Perfect timing. How'd it go?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Fun as
Thank you for coming in the studio. I appreciate that.
us.
Oh yeah.
Y'all
We're doing it
stand
front.
in that corner?
Yeah, in that corner.
I saw you bring your guitar too. Did you want to like?
It was like a
Oh, we
just
should've
in,
let 'em
just
play. I
in
didn't
case
even
you
know.
wanted to do acoustic
I mean,
stuff.
we could do it
wanted
like
to be
off.
prepared.
We can do it off.
Yeah, we didn't know if you guys were
really.
gonna ask us to play a song or not, so I just wanted to be safe and sorry, so we
yeah.
just brought it.
Yeah,
Because
I
every
do
once
want
in a
to
while
do.
we do acoustic shows too. We can do
Oh,
it all.
thanks.
Yeah, you might want to.
Okay.
Let's take a picture first. We'll do that first.
Yeah, you should do that. Get a little do acoustic set.
Oh, that'd be cool.
If you want to play some acoustic, we can maybe put one of the guitars, the guitar up to one of the microphones, and he can play some acoustic. If you want to do that, you
Yeah,
want to do
we're
that?
open.
It's up to you guys.
We,
Take
do
this
one
last picture.
One last
Yeah.
song.
We get one here. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.